crosses my mind, I don't know how many times a day. And it's something that I try to think about and at the same time not think about it.
Hello, Journey fans and Steve Perry fans. Gary Stuckey here once again. And Steve Perry is about to release an album. I can feel it. It's getting close, people. And as we're waiting, I've been thinking about some things. You know, people have their own theories about Steve Perry and is he going to release this album? Is he going to get back with Journey? They say no way. A lot of people say no way, no way, no way. I always say don't stop believing. You know. But anyway, got to thinking about Steve Perry earlier today. I was thinking when he first left Journey after he was burnt out, his mom had died, and he took some time off. You know, he took 6 or 7 years off, did the solo album, you know, and it's like he got back into the water. He tested the waters again, you know, and you know, then he started thinking about some things. You know, you could tell by the song, like I said, Anyway, the song that talks about getting back with Journey and he's sorry. And, you know, it's like he missed being in a band. And I think that time off and doing the solo album, you know, once he did the solo album, it was like his, you know, testing period so he can try it out and go, you know, I like this, you know, and he had done a solo album while he was in Journey in 1984, you know, with Street Talk, but he didn't want to stay uh, as a solo artist. You know, he came back. That wasn't his intention. I think he's comfortable with being in a band. Even Neil Sean said recently he'd rather be in a band than do solos. If he had the choice, he would be in a band. So, I mean, being in a band, you know, you get to share experiences and it's like a family and a brotherhood. And I think that Steve, after his solo album, you know, he was really getting, you know, in that mindset of missing the band. He wanted to do it, and that's why he called up Jonathan Cain, was like, hey man, what do you think about getting the band back together? And then that started that whole process. So whenever, you know, he hurt his hip and they made a decision to go on without him, that was really, you know, hurtful to him. And I was thinking, you know, it's comparable. I know, bad analogy coming. Warning, warning. Bad analogy. It's like if you're dating somebody, if you're married to somebody, as opposed to being single. You know, you're single, you can do what you want to do, you can go out who you want to, you're not tied down, and you know, it's different. But when you're married, you have a certain feeling also. You know, you feel it's a different kind of a feeling. You feel like you belong. And I think being in a band, you feel like you belong to something. You know, and it's like he had that desire to be in a band again. It's like if you, okay, another bad analogy. If you were really, you know, if you were working all day and you had a piece of chocolate cake in the refrigerator and you were, you know, you couldn't wait and you got home about 4 o'clock and you go to the fridge to get it and it's gone. And your wife or kids or somebody, they said, you know, I'm sorry I ate that piece of chocolate cake. And you're like, man, I had my heart set on that chocolate cake. And they're like, try the peach cobbler, it's good. And you're like, no, I wanted the chocolate cake. Okay. When you have your heart set on something, you know, I think he had his heart set on being back in Journey. It was something that he really wanted to do. You know, it was like, hey, we're back with the guys. We did, you know, we'll do the album. Trial by Fire, they did that. He wanted to tour with the band. I think that was really in his heart. He really wanted to do it. You know, it's like, man, we get to go on tour, be like the old days, excitement. You know, it's been a long time coming. I've been hurt. getting, you know, the joy back, and let's do this. And then come to find out he hurts his hip, and it's like, you know, another analogy. It's like if you're dating somebody and you've got a lot of money. Maybe you're working at some, you know, business where you make a lot of money, and somehow the business folded, so she dumps you, and you're like, hey, don't leave. And she's like, you ain't making the money. So she goes out, finds this rich guy that looks a lot like you know, and drives the same kind of vehicle, and she hooks up with him because he has the same qualities, but he's got money or something, and you don't. So maybe you drive by and see them together, and they're going to the park. They're going to the places that y'all used to go together, and it hurts you. And maybe, you know, you don't want to, you know, get back in a relationship because you like being with her. Well, maybe that's what Steve is like. Maybe he liked that relationship. He didn't want it. Maybe he don't want to do solo albums all the time. Maybe he started out to do solo albums and it just didn't feel right. And, you know, and maybe getting back, maybe if you were married and or you were dating somebody and you try to get back with them, and it'd be awkward this time because they done you wrong, and you're like, I don't want to get back with this person because, you know, they've done me wrong. And they're thinking, man, I really crapped on that guy. I don't want to hook back up with him. I feel guilty. Or I don't know. But maybe there needs to be a mediator somewhere to say, hey, are you sorry for what you did? Yeah, are you sorry? You know, but I think Steve's case, I don't think he wanted to be solo. I think he wanted to be in a band, in Journey, and then when they cracked the stone, so to speak, it hurt him. And I think he wants to come back. I just think it's awkward now. I think it's just different. It's like time has passed, and it's like, you know, it's like trying to get back with an old flame. It's just not the same anymore. Not to say that it won't. Not to never say never. But a lot of things have to fix before that happens. But maybe Steve is getting comfortable with that idea and realizing that, hey, sometimes you just got to go solo. And I think that's the answer. And I think very soon we'll be hearing from Steve in that new solo album. And maybe he'll test the waters with Journey and see what's up with that very soon. Never say never. Never say never, people. And don't stop believing. This is Gary Stuckey.